Good people, let's have this productive soul conversation. Okay, so we're going back to school in this episode and in this conversation because it's really that time of year. So whether it's the kids or whether it's you as a professional going back to get certified or get recertified or participate in some continuing education programs, it's just that time of year to have this conversation. So parents, you already know. Part of you, some of you are already rubbing your hands together like, man, can't wait to get these kids out the house. Oh boy, can't wait. And then maybe for some of the kids too, they're like, man, I can't wait to get away from my parents. Right? It goes both ways. So the way we're gonna break this down is we're gonna look at the fact that we're always in education, right? There's always something to learn, something new to gather from the world around us. But there's times of year when it's time to kind of get more into the academic aspects of things and really drill down. And what I want to focus on is two things. One, understanding sort of time frames. And then two, understanding the mechanics of what it takes to actually stay focused. There's a book called Winning by Tim Grover. Tim Grover is the coach of Michael Jordan, Dwayne Wade, Akeem Olajuwon. Who else? We can go on of all the people that he has helped become champion level performers, right? And there's something that he talked about that really got my attention in one of the chapters of this book. And he said, there's all kinds of talk about time management. And he said, the issue isn't time management. The issue is focus management. Let me say it again. It's not about time management. It's about focus management. There's only so many hours in a day, so many hours in a week, so many hours in a month, a year, and so on. But you can always increase the focus. And so one of the things he worked with Kobe on was increasing and mastering the art of the focus. And so I'm giving you an illustration of some of the things that I've, between this book and there's another book, drawing a blank on it. I wish I can see the cover right now in my head, but where he talks about the fact that for the guys like Jordan and the guys like Kobe, there are certain things that they just couldn't let themselves get distracted by. Things as simple as gathering the tickets and making sure that their family members and whoever was involved with watching them at the games or participated in watching them at the games, that those people were taken care of. Like there were things that they themselves just had to, let's just say, delegate, outsource, have other people manage, while they could focus even more intensely on the game. And so when it comes to going back to school, or going back to getting certified, or getting back to recertification, or participating in the continuing education credits, or whatever it is for you, we've got to ask ourselves, what is it that we have to increase the focus on? And only you know those things. Or I would hope you know those things or understand those things. So in a semester, 13, 15 weeks, if you do the trimester situation, there's of course a certain number of weeks that it's broken up for you, whatever that might be, and you've got the time frame. But while you're inside of that time frame, there's a need for you to get focused. Okay, there's a need for you to get focused. So the question becomes, well, what do you focus on? Well, first, let's talk about the time frame. And we got to get between the sheets of the 24-hour blueprint, of course, and understand how this is set up to help you with the time frame so that you can increase the focus. All right? Get your minds right, people. Get your minds right. So first framework is you understanding, okay, are you in the dual semester or trimester arrangement, or the regular, fall, winter? Well, some people actually do fall, then there's a little winter, and then there's the spring semester. Okay. But at the end of the day, you've got to know what your time frame is. And when it comes to now getting into the focus, understanding the syllabus of whatever that course is. So for me, example, story time. I recently started to explore studying a particular subject matter and getting certified in it because I felt deep down that if I could understand it better, it could help me with converting this into a sort of an augmented AI experience. I've always had that vision, and I felt like this is the time, right, for me to get a little bit deeper, a little bit wiser, technologically advanced, and understanding how to make this more accessible to people, right, to implement and execute in their lives. So I signed up for the course. I thought to myself, July is a good month. I could probably focus in on that and get it all handled, get it all done. Okay? If I just sit down X amount per day, I'll get it knocked out. Well, when I finally logged in, you ever like buy a program or buy a course and you finally log in like, oh, okay, let me take some time. I realized that the course had like 13 modules. You have to understand, these aren't like your 3-minute video here, 3-minute video there. These are 13 modules of different intense subject matters that involve, at least I looked at one of them. Just one of them had about, I feel like 14, maybe more programming languages that I had to download in order for me to participate in just that one course. I was blown away. I wasn't planning on that. I wasn't expecting that. By default, I had to then evaluate whether or not I even had the technological firepower to handle that kind of work. So for you, it's the same thing. You know the time frame, or at least you understand, like, okay, good. Look, fall semester is fall semester, spring semester is spring semester, winter, whatever happens, depending on what your school situation is, whatever your certification terms and conditions are, or by when you have to get your certification done by, you've got your time frame. But sometimes we underestimate because we don't actually really know what each course involves and what it's going to demand of us. For some courses, it requires field work and doing a field report. Okay? For others, if you're doing the certification side of things, some of it is you got to sit 18 hours in a seat watching your computer or watching a Zoom training or watching videos and have that logged. And if you know it's going to be 18 hours or 27 hours of continuing education credits, you now have to take into consideration, well, where are those 27 hours going to come from inside of your already existing schedule? Having a map, having a vision. I'm a big believer that sometimes you got to feel things and do things by hand in order for you to just really wrap your mind around how it's all going to work. Sometimes the Google Calendar is the last place that I want things to go, only because I have to have a physical respect for the time that's available for something to get done. To just look at it like, if I only have these many days and I look at it on the calendar and I put the X's or put the squares around things, I start to understand things differently. My mind just starts to interact with the reality of what has to get done. And so you got to do the same thing for you. Okay? So now going back to the focus, in between that, once you kind of know what you're up against, because sometimes for me, what I concluded was, this thing that I thought was going to take me just a month to kind of like get intense about and get the certification knocked out, maybe 45 days at the most, I was wrong. Those 13 modules, although one of the people involved in the course was like a course admin, was like, oh yeah, you can get this knocked out in 3 months. I was like, yeah, about that. No, I accept it might actually take 6. Could even be 7 to 9. I wouldn't even be surprised if it took me longer based on the things that I have in front of me. But I had to do the gut check. Now for you, depending on what your version of the going back to school experience is, you have to do the same thing. Sometimes you realize like, okay, in order for me to graduate by such and such a time, I'm going to take X amount of credits per semester. And then you realize between work, family, your 3 jobs, or whatever it is that you got to do, or projects that you have in front of you, it's not going to happen. You're not going to be able to juggle it. So that means you got to take fewer credits, which then pushes that course that you thought you were going to take this semester. You got to take it next fall. Then you got to figure out whether it's a prerequisite to something that you're supposed to take next spring. You see what I'm saying? So you got to take the time to do this kind of thinking using a blueprint, an approach that helps you to get the focus. And this is what helps you start to get focused. When you start to deal with the reality of what you got to have in place. So after the mapping out, using the monthly parts of the blueprint, you've got your 3-week look ahead sheet, which you've heard me talk about, and you've got your daily intentions and outcomes sheet, which you can write things in. Again, it's the physical experience. I get it. There's all kinds of digital, zippity doodah products out there, but some things you just have to physically feel and touch and deal with the reality of, wow, this is what it's going to take. And then take it digital. Okay? So once you do that, you now respectfully can look at and embrace what it is that you got to focus on, what it is that's going to be non-negotiable, what it is that's going to have you say no to the invitation to go hang out, or whatever your distraction is going to be. And the distraction is going to be legitimate. Party or a gathering or a sleepover or whatever it is with the family or with the kids, all of those things, right? For those of you who are in the family situation. But if you're younger, you know what your distractions and side swipes are going to be, right? Things that are going to try to grab your attention and pull you away from what your finish line looks like. So it's mission critical right now, if you're going back to school or getting into that certification or recertification situation, to get focused. It's not just about the cliche, put the blinders on. No, you just have to really deal with what is in front of you, what you're up against. Just like I had to deal with these 13 modules, and I only took a peek at one, and I realized, like, whoa, I'm up against more than I thought. Same applies to you. Okay? So do the gut check by taking a look at what you're up against. If there's a syllabus available, take a look at that. Note when the midterms are. Note when the finals are. Note when a paper is due. But put it in the bigger picture calendar. Okay? I've got that all in the back of this. Okay? And then break it down into the 3-week look ahead sheets, and then into what your daily intentions and outcomes need to look like. Okay? Now, you don't have to do this alone. You can do it with me together for those of you who want direct coaching. But for those of you who want to just understand and do it independently, there is an opportunity for you to grab a playbook, grab the planner, and go down the path of the DIY approach, right? There's videos available. I've already talked about that in previous videos for you to just explore and understand how this whole system works and can bring you some peace of mind when it comes to execution and staying grounded and staying focused. But for me, if I were you, I'd want the coaching. I'd want the guidance. I'd want the support to just really come out of the gate galloping. Okay? So that's that in this episode of The Productive Soul. I'll leave the information for you below. If you're seeing this on my Instagram, the link in the bio will get you the bundle, the playbook and the planner, so you can become a bad, task kicker. Okay? All right. Any questions? All right. Okay, cool. Everybody's good? Well, thank you guys for checking out this episode, checking out this conversation. As you go back to school, or whatever it looks like for you, frame out the time, increase the focus, and make it to that finish line. That's it. I know it sounds simple, but it's like easier said than done, which is why I said get the right tools, get the right coaching, get the right support and guidance so that you can make sure you get to the finish line. Okay? But at least this is a start. So grab a playbook, grab a blueprint, and you'll be on your way. All right, guys. I'll see you guys in the next episode of The Productive Soul. Thanks for checking this one out. I'll see you soon.